Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to a very important and major Ascension update at this time. I have a lot to share with all of us, and as you can see, I'm standing here activating my beautiful White Lady Elven Wand, which I actually created last year, but I didn't add the crystals on top. As you can see, these are crystals from our sacred crystal cave here in Slovene Alps, and I've just started to do these wands. I had a request to do a wand for someone, and then I was shown this vision of gold and white, you know, Ascension and devotion to Ascension and Serapis Bay and the beauty of the Seraphim. My angelic team showed me this vision. I'm going to be doing these wands further on as well, and they will be available on my page once I revamp my whole blog, because there's lots of new things I've been doing in the background, and I hadn't had the time and chance yet to put them online and delete some of the old ones, which is some of the things I will no longer be doing. But self-mastery portraits, which are your master essence soul portraits, are now available again, because this was actually the only thing Spirit guided me to keep as I move along my path of serving all of us in our self-mastery. So this is something I've been really called, and I've been doing it, and the whole purpose behind this art is to see that essence of what I bring here to this planet, of this white ray of purity, of ascension, of illumination through devotion. And I had these beautiful responses from people all over the world. Either they just purchased the crystal stones from me, or mountain stones, whatever it was, or my art, or medallions, you know, ascension medallions that I do. These things are all, I'm doing them to have them for my retreat, so when people come, you know, they can have a choice of something they can select for themselves as they're guided. So there's a lot of work happening in the background as I'm preparing, but I've never had one single response from someone that wasn't really deeply heart affected. And people have shared these stories with me, how these creations or just the stones have affected them, and what shifts they experience, and really entering this magical space, this magical world that, you know, I live in myself. This is this higher planes of consciousness, and it's basically because these things are transmitters of energy. They can teleport that energy there, and that's what people usually, if they're open enough, they can have these experiences. So if you're called to anything, take a look at my Serapina Light page under Grace Art, and you can find what I'm doing. I didn't add all the things that are going to be available soon in the near future. I'm working on that now. So I just wanted to show you this wand, but this beauty can't be with me all the time because I have to hold my beautiful notebook. So saying goodbye for now. And I have lots of things written down here to share with all of us, because there's a lot of things happening at this point in time. As you know, we're going through this major upgrade of our entire system, of our whole body being changed. And I've shared this with you many times, that Ascension, in a way, it's a beautiful soul refinement when we not just begin to have a perception of things differently, you know, we are awake, but we also bring this to every layer of our physicality as we start to apply these changes in our lives. So without embodiment, we can't really ascend through descension as well. Check my mastery course on Ascension and Descension, which is self-empowerment and ascension. These mastery courses are also available on my page, Serapina Light. But let me now go through this, what I've written down just now, this beautiful sun. Can you believe it? You know, who would have thought we have sun again? And it's time for some beautiful creations on the sun. I was just doing this huge wand. I'm doing now this male counterpart of this beautiful divine feminine essence of the White Lady. I'm doing a male counterpart. I'm doing a wizard wand, which I hope to create until Halloween. I don't know. I know it's a funny thing, but sometimes we're just called to do certain things within a certain time frame, because they just need to be there to see the certain energy. And because we had this planetary alignments that showed us that divine masculine is returning to this planet, that this divine masculine energy is joining forces with the sacred feminine, which was being seeded for many years now, especially from 2008 on. It was very intensified, and this year we have this kind of like coming together, which of course first takes place on the higher planes, and then we start to feel it, and those first forerunners are the first ones to feel, and then it just descends down onto the entire plane of those who are ready to embrace this energy as the planet is going through this shift. I have lots of things to share with you today that are more you know, for those initiated ones, but I'm sure that everybody can get at least a little bit of that, because the sun just gave me these new solar codes of understanding, and here in our vortex in the mountains, it's always like things that need to come, they come. And I'm going to explain this to you when I move into this video topic. But before I go into it, I really want to share with you that if you're feeling any sorts of changes and you feel like you have so many new options now, new opportunities, you don't know where to go next, it's because we're opening so much more now, but it doesn't feel like it's time to act on these things yet. You know, if they're more like impulses, like you feel you've lived your life a certain way, or you were always a hermit as an ascension pioneer, more or less. You know, we're all social beings as well, but I'm talking about the essence of a hermit, that's this wise thinker, an embodiment of a mystical being that's always there pondering, reflecting, and then sharing this in their own service. So I've been on this path as well, and then these opportunities sometimes come and people invite you to different places, and someone says, please come here, or please go there, or can you come, or can you visit, can you do this and that. And we really have to be careful with these things, because in a way, they're openings, they're gateways, they're showing us the potentials for the new. But sometimes Spirit shows me it's like a practice for how open we are when the real thing will come, and that's when we'll know. There was a message recently coming through, and I've shared it on my Instagram page. I have daily Spirit messages every day for those of you who are interested. And one of the messages that was really prominent was about us sometimes wanting to go for that first ball. You know, something comes as an opening, and if there's that part of us that still feels a separation, or you say, I've been living my life the whole way like this, and something comes up as an opportunity and it's the first ball there, and you say, okay, I'm going to do it just because I've never had something like this before. Sometimes for those of us on the path of mastery, it's not always the right thing, because we always practice first in how we open up to energy. So if it feels new, expansive, good, it's almost like a practice. But if you don't fully feel passionate about it, then maybe that's not the right thing. It's almost like a rehearsal, you know, like you're rehearsing for the real thing, like they have for weddings sometimes. First they have the rehearsal, and then they have the real thing, so that everybody knows their position, their, you know, placings, and so on and so forth. So for us, a lot of times it feels like if there was an energy of stagnation present for a lot of time, and something comes up and shows us an opportunity, and then it's gone, and you might think, wow, did I do something wrong? Because the opportunity was there and you didn't grab it right away, it went away. It didn't mean that you did anything wrong. We don't miss out on opportunities. Remember, love is infinite. Love doesn't give us one opportunity. You miss that, you're out. That doesn't exist. Love is infinite. We have such, you know, immense opportunity of the new energy that's always there. We're always going to be creating from within. Our basic creation pillar is our inner pillar, our vortex of light, our own soul that always has infinite potentials. But as I'm talking about this on the outside, as new opportunities or new people, new places calling out to you, just be really attentive to whether it's that rehearsal thing when you're practicing how open it is, when your life will really be asking you to make that change, to take that leap of faith. So there's almost like tiny leaps of faith within a bigger leap of faith, which calls you out, and that's when you'll know. I've shared about this, that sometimes comes this confusion sense through these opportunities, because then you don't know for which one to go. If there's such a thing, then you know maybe none of them is right for you, because if it was, you wouldn't be even thinking about it. You know, thoughts are just things that die very quickly. They come, they go. They're not awareness based. They're just fueled with these egoic parts of us, sometimes still feel separate, and we wish to go for the first ball because we just want a new experience so badly, and we're impatient. And that's when sometimes our soul, through our intuition, will give us that lesson of, you know, it's not always what things seem to be on the outside. Sometimes what shines as gold is just a golden opportunity. As an essence, you're activating within you, but it's not that thing yet. That thing really needs to match you internally as well as externally, in all levels. It really has to be that way. All of the things that are coming up until that point for our newness, you know, to really live in that higher dimensional template are, like I've shared, this rehearsal for what does it feel like, and they're activating different seeding points within us. I hope you can follow me up until this point. I'm really trying to be fast because there's a lot to share, and I don't want this video to be too long, although I know probably will be. But the first thing I want to talk about, let me see if my mic is still straight, is this energy influx. So these astrological alignments been happening lately, especially with Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, creating these trines. And sometimes there was this squaring. It comes to square with Saturn, which really is asking us to commit to ourselves. And this alignment with Jupiter almost coming in between Venus and Mars is like, is our love going to expand? What's the color of love? What do we really love? What are we passionate about? And how do we enter these unions that are really between us and spirit? Sometimes things happen, they come and go, and we doubt. We doubt that which is real for us. But sometimes these are like tiny little tests, again, these rehearsal to show us how strong are we within our own essence. A lot of times we want what others have, but it's not necessarily our path. So these also, we had some gamma rays. They were in alignment with the shift that's happening now, and this whole month, as you know, it's a portal month because it doubles every energy, because it's a 9-month, and when you add 9 to anything, it doubles the frequency. So everything this month is like doubled. So this is all preparing us for the 11/11 gateway, and I'm going to be talking about this as well in this update. But this new surge of energy is really bringing us that sense of like almost that final embracing of who we are and our authentic selves, because none of us on the planet is the same. There's so much diversity. None of the crystals that you find are the same. They might look the same, might feel the same, but when you go deep enough, you feel it's not the same. So this new surge is really about something new that is actually just authentic. It's not even new to us, but the way we see it, it might be new in terms of how we knew it before. So I want to share something about how the energy is shown to me, how it shifts here, because to live in a creation portal place, which is here in the Alps, and me being here for a reason because of that, is mountains always are the first pillars where the energy shifts, and you can see it. And that's why I know, because I'm an observer, overseer type of soul, and I just look at the weather patterns, and they always tell me the energy patterns, and when I share something about it, either on my page or I just write about it, people always say, how do you know? It's because I work with this energy. It comes through this creation pillar, and it just shows me. And usually the weather patterns they're very unpredictable because the shift is ongoing now, and it's unpredictable. We're moving into this mysterious field of creation energy that hasn't been at our disposal for a very long time. So it might feel like, new, and a lot of times it feels like, what are we going to do? Or we don't know, we don't always know. But when I observe these patterns, they're always showing me what's really taking place, whether it's a detox energy, whether we're integrating something or being upgraded, or it's something that deals with our body. And just living in this space always shows me this. So how does this energy generate? Actually, I've written this down through these sacred spots. So first of all, I wish to tell and share something about these creation pillars. So creation pillars are beings. We are beings who, there's not a lot of us. I'm going to say us here. I'm going to try to be open as much this time. There's only a few of us on the planet, and what this means is that if you imagine a planet with its toroidal field expanding from it, now every creation pillar point has the same pillar point, like we have as well with this toroidal field. It's our vortex space, and as you know, I'm going to say this, we are all pillars of light. Every single being is a light being. It's a pillar of light. But here I'm making a distinct variation when I say creation pillar, which is not the same. So a creation pillar is a being who is working with creation points on the planet, and they have a chosen creation point. You only work with one. They're all interconnected, so at the same time you are connected with the web of all. But you are chosen for this task because of what you are in spirit. It's not something that, sometimes people want to be. And I've witnessed this in this New Age movement. When you share about this, now everybody says, I'm a pillar. Everybody's a pillar. Every light worker, every light being is a pillar. But I talk about creation pillars. There's a distinction here, okay? So just go with me. If these beings are beginning to be aware of it, and I had my own awakening to this purpose of mine was in 2012, and I couldn't believe these things, and I was writing them down, and what Spirit shared with me is that most creation pillars don't even know who they are and the scope of their purpose. So in a way, one of my purpose as well includes to share this information for those who are starting to remember, and there's only a few people on the planet who have this purpose, because there's only a few of these creation points. So this means that the energy, when it comes through, as you know, it first comes through this grand central sun. It comes from the source of all love, the source of unity, and it starts to come here, and it starts to be it starts to fuse into this reality and merge with it. The first, where it goes through these creation points. I would again like to make a distinction here that it's not about what you do. A lot of people do certain things and they perceive they are a certain thing as a label or a divine assignment. But to be a creation pillar is not what you do. You know, I do many things, but has nothing to do with being a creation pillar. It's about who you are, and your mere energy essence creates things. It's like your higher self working with you. You only need to allow. You only need to create enough space for allowance. Otherwise, you're going to have friction and problems in your life because you're not going with flow with what your soul wants you to do. So creation pillars are beings who, when they come through the energy of the oversoul. They already come through group consciousnness because they have to work with a much broader complex of light at disposal than most other humans have. And you know, most humans who just live their day-to-day reality, they're not aware of these things, and they're not meant to be aware of these things because they're not their things to do on the planet. So it's the creation pillars are portals in a way. They're vortex doorways to dimensions and realms, and they are the receptors of that new earth energy. Well, we just call it new earth. It's just how we call it. Imagine that there's no labels, but I use them to kind of paint you a picture of something that's taking place on a higher level and descending upon this planet, so you can have a visualization. But otherwise, on higher levels, we don't even need those distinctions. I'm just pointing them out so there's no confusion, because a lot of times there is, I see in the spiritual circles, a lot of confusion. And people mistaken certain things for things that are not really that. In essence, things have the essence of it. The words are then, you know, we can use them to describe, to get as close as we can to that. But in real truth, we feel those things. And those of us who are creation pillars, we know these things. It's just how our soul guides us. And it shows us things and we know. So that's why I'm all the time in nature, working with nature. Just my path. It's connected with beings as well, because then, you know, you're making those connections and you're almost like an anchor point. But my first primary purpose is with the planetary vortices. So it doesn't mean now I have to be aware of certain things that are taking place. Sometimes you get things after you know, they've already been shifting through you, or you've been facilitating your sacred body for this sacred work. So you don't always know. It's not like that. It's not everything conscious, but when you meditate, when it's a given, when you're supposed to know, it is given to you. So it's again that rite of passage thing. So what this purpose means is that these beings, they help to bring this new energy to come through at specific timing, when it's divine timing, when it comes true, and for specific creation points, like I've said, on the planet. These are only a few, because these points there are also only a few. Remember, I've shared with you before about the triangle. You know, there's the fewest here at the top that have almost like this overseeing purpose. So creation points are not the same as sacred spots. We have many on the planet and we know them, you know, many sacred spots on our planet, like ancient spots, sacred spots, however they're called. But they're not the same because the energy now is changing. So the spots that we had and we knew until now, eventually we're going to have to come into terms that we're moving into this new energy space. And because everything is shifting, we're going to get new energy spots. We're going to get new sacred spaces. In truth, every space in nature is sacred spots. But there's also like a puncture points where the energy enters first. When you understand the nature of creation, you understand those things. That's why this understanding is only at disposal to those who do know that. So you have to know, you have to work on creation level. Not just that which is, you know, the basic human realities and daily lives, what I mean here. So how to share this is that eventually, as we're going to be moving through this new age, we're still at this crossing point from Pisces to Aquarius. We're going to be letting go of everything we used to know so far. I see now still a lot of the people are holding on to those firm grips, like 7 chakra system, like ancient sacred spots, the way we know them. A lot of these spots were created for those times, to see the energy at those ancient times when the earth was aligned like such and such. As we're now moving into the space of Aquarius, this new doorway, things are going to imagine like we're rotating in the cosmos, so things are changing. That's why the punctures are changing, you know. It's almost like you rotate and you're turning yourself differently. You're going to be all of a sudden standing pointed, directed differently. So how you're susceptible to energy will change, although your main pillar within you, your light, remains. That's what I'm talking about. So it's the unity of all, the unification stays the same, it's eternal, but that in creation, things are infinite, so they're shifting. And I shared this so many times, the nature of eternity and infinity both, at the same time existing. So when we know this, and basically there's like these 13 octaves, 13 creation points, as you know, like the 13 higher chakric system, it's very much in alignment with that. So these are doorways to new earth, and they are the access to new earth energy. So the old grid workers, it's what Spirit shared with me today, people who used to go and travel to these sacred spots, did a lot of work, they called themselves grid workers and things like that. So these beings were actually sent here to balance the energy out. The energy that was oftentimes at these spots, either there was a lot of hiding, cover-ups, also a lot of mass killings. In the past we had a lot of beings being persecuted for what they had in their own light knowledge and awareness, and they did this job of balancing the old sacred spots, where in the past there was a lot of manipulation and control and fear connected with these spots, and even this ancient killings of mass extinction. So they were balancing this so we can close this chapter and move into the new. So they were balancing this fear energy out, bringing things to closure so we can now begin again, because the doors to new earths are already opening. And therefore, then the new grid workers who come after, and again, not creation pillars, new grid workers, then they actually work with the new earth energy, which is already coming to the planet. And then they bring that through the lands, while then the light workers, who are then the further extension of how things work in the hierarchy of our higher divine planning, they actually then, and they're most numerous in numbers, the light workers, then they take these energies within the certain fields and lands and their own sacred space, and then they further them out, they extend them further out to fellow humans, to their own life realities, to their living spaces and everyday, day-to-day life. So to understand what divine hierarchy is we know that we're infinite and we're all, and a lot of times people say, that doesn't exist, we can all do anything, It's not actually true. To know true oneness is to know that we are of the same source, but we have different awareness, we have different tasks in creation. Watch my video on cosmic servants in creation. It was back last winter, I think, and you can find these videos on such topics of interest under my playlist that's called The Wisdom of the Stars. And this means that we are of one source, but yet we have these different unique divine assignments in creation, because they're diverse and organized in accordance to divine structures of our own soul awareness. It's just how it is. Certain things just are the way they are. It's not like you choose it. It's like this on a higher level, much higher level. And only creation pillars, they have the knowledge of these vortex places and the knowledge of creation, because they have been there since the beginning. So what Spirit gave me was this word, planners, the overseers, the divine nurturers, because they were here since the beginning, as the earth was being created and seeded, and as some beings prophesized how it will be then further out. A lot of these beings also knew these things, and they overseen things, so they were actually picking them up, or they were being shared that knowing by these overseers. So the original planners, they don't need to do anything specific, because that's just the essence of what they are, and in particular what they do. But the essence is what's truly important here, and because it keeps things on a planetary levels in balance. So creation pillars are almost like doorways to balance, so that the planet is in a way as it is. So they're like gateways for this frequency, that things don't just, it's not you have this whole havoc and mess, that things stand where they need to be. It's almost like the globe rotating perfectly within the divine plan. But there's also, you don't see what all consists of this divine plan, how many beings of light, how many different beings with their own assignments. It's almost like you have a huge project, you have different beings with different assignments that work on that project. So one example would be my own life. I can share from my own life is living in the Alps. I had a lot of people who maybe wanted me to move somewhere. They said, wow, you better living there, more opportunities for you, or they just invited me. But I always have to see what my inner spirit tells me. if I'm called to go, I would know. And you know, you can travel, you can go, but you know your home, because to be a creation pillar is such a huge affinity to where you are, because it's not personalized. I have such a great love for this land. I'm going to share this with you in particular, and you probably noticed, and people feel this, those of you maybe who are with me for a longer period of time, and a lot of you have asked me already to come here on retreats, because you almost feel like you want to be a part of this creation love. You want to get to know how it is, this creation love, and we all have it. We all have it within. It's just that those of us who are in assignment for this, we're doing things that are already in pre-planning for that. So it's almost like you do things not just out of your own personal affinity, but there's a greater force field, a greater plan behind it. So for me, when I have this love for the land, it's almost like I feel it overflows this place, it overflows this space, and then it just creates this balance so that things can be as they are. And there's still a lot of density here in the world of the valley. So it's almost like, oh, that's why I need to be here specifically as well. So I had this, like I've shared with you, this awakening to this in 2012, and a lot of things were shared with me back then through my own automatic writing, and I didn't even understand it completely at that time. But I said, okay, I'm just going to let it go, let it be, and I'm going to, you know, allow things to unfold. And they did, you know, and still I don't feel like it's completely there, because it's a process, it's not a goal. So I don't really speak so much about these things, you know, things that are on a higher level are always between us and spirit. But I mentioned some of this to you because maybe some of you might be on this and this path, and you're like, wow, you know, that's why certain things are the way they are for me, and maybe it helps you to understand yourself better. You know, the more you know yourself, the more you can commit to why you are here. So there's these major shifts happening now. They're leading up to the 1111 portal. It's going to add up to number 12, which is the completion on the creation level. You know, the 12 principles of creation, 12 steps, 12 universal bigger laws. And then you have this 13 as source. So during the 1111, we're going to come to a certain point of culmination, and a lot of us feel that. We feel something's going on. We don't necessarily know it physically as in a tangible way, but we feel there's certain pushes and energy surges behind all of this, and they're kind of like interwoven threads of light that are kind of creating this puzzle pieces coming together in their own perfect timing. And a lot of us are seeing 1111. I haven't, you know, been so more noticing of it than this year. It's amazing. And this divine masculine and feminine as well are coming into this perfected balance, and we might have physical experiences of this as well. A lot of us are feeling this energy balance through an increased sexuality. Sexuality is a major theme right now. If you feel called to this topic, I have a mastery course on soul alchemy and sacred sexuality that explains these things a bit better. If you're having these surges and you cannot understand what's happening to you, I really recommend this course. Because this drive that we're feeling now, it's because the planetary energies are rising, and so are we. And those of us who are ascending, we feel that. So you can feel it almost like this surge of energy. Someone recently called this point, and I remembered, oh, that's what it's called. It's called Tantien. You know, they have it in martial arts or these Tai Chi exercises. This point that's here inside, it's almost like behind your belly, behind your navel. Tantien, this point where the energy rotates and you can like spin it from here. And I had a lot of dreams with this orgasmic pulses of energy and these cosmic orgasmic dreams that I just envisioned this energy. It started to rotate, and boom, that's where it was. It got elevated almost like without any time lapse associated with it. It was almost like instant. So we're starting to work with this point, and I would like to advise you to just do some breaths into this pot and then bring it into your internal womb. We all have an inner womb, whether we're masculine or feminine. It is located almost like at the back of your last spine, but a bit further down. And when you start to feel this flow of this kundalini rising within you, you will start to feel this point, and it will feel pleasant, it will feel tingly or arousing even sometimes. This means your sensuality is rising, but it's rising because the energies are rising, and you're starting to work and function on a higher frequency. And this sexual energy is creative energy. That's why we're called to create so much more and on new levels. So those who are ascending are really feeling this wave of sexual energy, and it's being stimulated from this Tantien and then in connection with the inner womb. So it's almost like the Tantien is this spot that represents your masculine self, and this power that rotates, and that seed within you, and then you have an inner womb, that divine feminine within you. And if you can find that way to merge them as one and create almost like a spinning diamond, you can do meditation on that. You see how it works for you, but just through breath. Just visualize this and keep breathing and feel how it's being stimulated. So I would like to explain as well this difference between Tantra and Kundalini, because Kundalini is actually only our sacred inner fire, while Tantra means sharing it, sharing this, lifting it up, sharing with others, sharing with the planet. And it requires this exchange of this energy. So a lot of people confuse this, but they're not the same. And when the Kundalini energy is elevating, then of course there's also going to be this desire to share, to become tantric, but still they're not the same thing. So a lot of us, because of this increase in the sexuality, we also feel like external messages, confirmations, guidance, and a lot of us are seeing 1111, and we feel guided towards this beloved union, which is happening within us first. Don't forget, because it's a consciousness state, this twin flame interbalancing counterpart polarity that you're merging within you, and then it's actually descending from the higher ethereal template, and we're drawing it forth into this physical from the higher template. So how does this affect our physicality? A lot of us will have changes, body changes, how the body functions and how it follows last. As you know, always share, the body will experience what we know last. So sometimes this is not always so easy for us, and it can feel almost challenging, but we have to know that as humans we'll always have ups and downs. A lot of people still see a path of healing like a path that is has a goal, has a destination, and that never really leaves you fulfilled here and now. It always has this sense of imperfection, that you're always imperfect in a way. You're constantly like searching and hunting for your healing. But we're always going to have ups and downs because they simply imply change and integration. That's what's the nature of our human beingness. And it's not a goal to heal, it's a process. So we need to accept that, embrace ourselves where we are in the process. Don't see it as, okay, I'm here in the process, but then the goal is to be here. Again, no. Just, I'm always in shift. I'm always in motion. I'm a being, but I'm also always in motion and unfolding, blossoming, evolving. So be gentle with yourself, but also know when it's time for action, because divine, feminine, masculine, they're one. So in comparison, sometimes this comes out with also as a sign that you want to be where others are, or you want to do things differently. Because I had this quote recently that said, you know, we sometimes want to see if the grass is greener on the other side. But then we have to know that, so what? Even if it was, if we're not passionate about that, we have to find that inner sense of passion, because the grass never is greener on the other side. It's an illusion. It's an optical illusion almost, because it makes you perceive things only on the superficial surface layer. But is there really depth? As you know, masters need depth. They need to see what's behind the surface of what's being only physically through the eyes presented to you. Feel between and behind all things that have a living, breathing life force energy behind it or within it. So sometimes we really need to know that we need to know our path. What is our path? Let's not compare ourselves with where others are, what they're doing. Is it better on their part of the planet? Is it better what they're doing? This comparison is still coming from that part of us that feels imperfect, that feels incomplete, that feels it's not enough, and therefore it tries to find this satisfaction externally, not within you, not within your inner master. So when you feel good about yourself, you feel good because you're within your knowing. When you feel like, you know, there's always a part of you in the mind that is perceiving from the ego that maybe wants it differently. So what are your eyes really telling you, but what does it feel behind that? And then merge the two, merge that both. So is there depth or something just being presented to you superficially? That's the question here. So it really doesn't matter. What matters is the passion. Passion is our doorway to the new reality, to the fifth dimensional template and beyond, because it's an essence. Passion as a divine essence serves this way because it's our doorway. It's not the same as lust or debauchery or, you know, just that superficial sense of pleasure or overindulgence, but it's the inner quality of creating richness in our lives, whatever it is, even if it's something that feels very simple. Like you feel, well, do I have value? I didn't do something special, but are you deep? Are you a deeply feeling being? You know, we all are, but a lot of beings are not in connection with that deepest part of them. So they're creating lots of things under surface, but they never go into depth. So masters always need depth. So passion is how we create and serve through the creation within unity. And the uniqueness of our essence is what gets us there. The message always keeps repeating through spirit. It's like there's different kinds of angels, archangels or masters. We also have a unique essence. You know, we say angels of healing, angels of joy, angels of abundance, as well as masters. They're one within unified field. But within those inner planes that they serve from, they also have a uniqueness of their own essence within that white, which is all light of the creation. So our particular essence or ray does have importance for us. It has direction of our own purpose and path, and as masters we're seeking that out. So in this new age oneness, everybody wants to do everything, but in the true oneness, in the rich oneness of unity, we're one with all life and creation, and yet we still know our individual part. We still know the understanding of the originality of our own purpose, and we're at peace with that. So find that peace, okay? So a lot of times we also will ask questions like why. People ask themselves, when does this game of healing come to an end? Well, the moment you stop perceiving yourself as constantly being imperfect, it's never going to end. Your growth, your evolution never ends as a soul. The moment we accept this, we really accept it and our life changes. So the walking into this new earth template means embracing things that maybe you might know mentally, but now you really want to embrace them. You want to live them out. And it's not our thoughts that create, because thoughts come, go, they're very short-lived. Awareness it's always, it's eternal. So it's the awareness that creates. Thoughts and goals are very short-lived. They can be, substituted with other thoughts, other goals. It's just temporary. It's not that important for a master in training. So the awareness does matter. So we don't have to hunt our desires. We don't have to pursue everything. We don't have to, put ourselves on our eyelashes to get things right. We simply need to stay true to our soul and heart alignment that already emanates this, the essence of what we are, by being it, by really becoming it and being it. So live freely. Remember the updates on my Facebook and Instagram. A lot of you are already there. Thank you for joining me and sharing my sweet life with me. I will, next step that I have is really wanting to create this course on how to read your own star map, because of this uniqueness, the component that we are. So instead of doing readings for others, I want to create this basic template, how everybody can do this for themselves, with important data you can get just from one birth chart, just from your natal chart, by knowing what to do and how to access this. So this is going to be my next step and my soul art, and I hope the next spirit message comes out soon as well. Stay updated on my Facebook page. I'll talk to you soon, and as always, so much love, wisdom, and power. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.